What's up, guys? It's your boy Pat and Johnny Bravo.
What's up with it?
This is episode number 4.
4.
I had to stop and think. Episode number 4.
Not 3, not 5, but 4.
Of the Hollow Down Cigar Lounge Talk
Words
series. Words are hard.
Off to a good start.
What are we, like 35 seconds in?
Yeah, something like that.
Bear with us, guys. This is going to be fun. So, what we're going to do today, I told you it was going to be a back-to-back plan. I was going to torture him and then reward him later. As we said in the very first episode, you like more milder cigars.
Yep.
I like the darker ones. So, of course, throughout this show, we'll introduce various things and go back and forth. But my initial plan was to give him the hard knock dark ones, and then the next time I got a reward for him. May not be back to back because we have a tentative plan for our next show, but we'll see if plans work out. So these are not, for any of you dark Maduro smokers out here, these are not the darkest cigars on the market. They are on dark scale. Level 5, which we'll talk about in a minute. But they are among the darkest that I am comfortable enjoying. So I will preface this. If it is too dark for you, because he has not had these, I wanted to wait until we film this before I let him try one. So he has not taste tested this off scene.
Nope. My first experience.
So if you don't like it, it's cool if you're like, bro, this sucks. So,
wow, it smells good though.
Does smell good. So, this is a 5 Vegas AAA. See which one of these cameras is going to let it focus on us. Maybe the light will let you work. Let's come over here. I don't know if the light's going to work anywhere today, because there we go. Alright. So, again, with our lovely schedules, we're doing this in the heat of the night, so got lights. Actually, one more light than we had last time, because I noticed we were throwing shadows on ourselves. So, I mean, I don't mind a little bit, but we were blocking each other's faces and stuff.
Wow.
Anyway.
It happens.
So, thank you, pulled it up if you want to read the highlights on it, and then we'll
Yeah,
kick it off.
so the profile, it's a 5 out of 5 on the darkness scale. It's a Robusto, Wrappers, Maduro, Origin, Nicaragua, the binder's Nicaraguan, filler's Nicaraguan, sweet. It says false. What does that mean?
So, that means hard no. Means it is definitely not sweet.
Oh, okay. Well, whoever wrote this article, he is very excited about this cigar. He starts it off and says, I don't want to overstate it, but this cigar is an opportunity for moral improvement. Something to enrich your future, broaden your horizons, and elevate your standing among peers. It's widely accepted among cigar experts that your transformation from deviant to upstanding citizen will be complete after numbing your first 5 Vegas AAA. Then he says, I made that up, but it's true that if you like gloriously full and rich, deep and dense blends, you're going to find AAA shockingly refreshing. He goes on and says, this devilish handmade is a marvelous creation of bold, finely aged tobaccos, precision blended to generate a uniquely satisfying profile. The heart of this blend is its Cuban seed Nicaraguan Ligueros? What's that word, bro?
Where you at?
Ligueros?
Oh, Ligueros.
Explain to the people what Ligueros are.
It's, if I have this wrong, correct me, because I've never looked this up, but what I've been told, that it's basically your tobacco seed compound. In fact, let me make sure, because since we're actually putting this, I'd make sure that I have not been correct or been incorrect for about 10 years. Because that would be fun to know that I've had this wrong the whole time.
I will say it smells magnificent.
Okay, yeah. Thank God I was right. Well, I won't say that I'm right. I wasn't wrong. So, Nicaraguan Ligero is a strong cigar filler tobacco. In fact, yeah, so, in fact, I'll put this image up on the screen. I just randomly found this. Pretty cool. But that is the leaf, and you can see
okay, the darkness.
The darkness go.
Oh, that's
so
pretty cool.
Yeah. So,
well, this guy, he goes on and talks about this fine recipe when topped off with a thick and oily Pennsylvania broadleaf Maduro wrapper, a coal black beauty that generates a rich and array of searing flavors, delivers a full flavored experience to the core with cascading notes of oak, leather, espresso, and tasty spices throughout. A hint of sweetness lingers after
is
each
that
puff.
espresso?
Yeah.
Or espresso?
Oh, it's espresso. Yeah, there's no X in that. Yeah, that's my bad right there. A hint of sweetness.
Hold on, what did he tell me? Words are hard?
Words are hard. It lingers after each puff.
It does.
Just before the dense, charcoal-like aroma fills the nostrils. Each of the flavors seems to come consecutively, a series of layered sensations that hits your senses without overwhelming the palate at any given point. He's very excited about this cigar, whoever this is. He makes me excited.
So I told you, we would, just to be, except for the ones before that came from the Caymans, I'll always give you stuff off of Cigars International. That way it's consistent on the type of information. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And it still came from Cigars International.
Yeah, it was straight from Cigars International.
And you're probably about to find out why. So, can you feel it's a little bit more oily than some of the others?
Yep.
And
it's also made differently, I've seen. It's the other ones are circular. This one's like got corners almost.
So this is coined a box press.
Box press. Okay.
This is the official term. So you still have a ring size, which will estimate its diameter, but you have box press. So it's still handmade. There's different philosophies on why you do that. I'll give you the most common I've heard. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right, because some people completely disagree with this 100%. But your box press is intended, whether you do a punch or a V-cut, which has its own air draw things, which we'll probably do an episode on wrappers and cuts alone. Might not be a bad idea. Because we'll probably both learn some stuff that we didn't know, because it goes deep. But your airflow, because it controls how it comes over your palate, right? Mm-hmm. So box press, your airflow is not coming as like a tornado in a central. It kind of comes as a point, and it can almost kind of cross, which is one of the supposed benefits of the V-cut. So instead of it coming straight over your back of your palate, it can kind of like cross over and hit the rest of your mouth. Some point I'll get one of these, but CAO, which is a really good cigar brand, it's a huge cigar, bigger than any of the ones I have in that humidor right now. It's a 7x70.
Jeez.
So most Gordos are a 6x60, which is the brick house that we smoked. 7x70, so make it an inch longer, as long as a Churchill, ones that I showed you earlier, but an extra 10 in ring size.
Oh wow!
It's like a 3.5 hour cigar if you get a good draw. But they're box pressed, and they're called flatheads.
Gotcha.
So those, you have really good flavor.
Yeah.
If you get the cut of the punch right, which I usually punch these because they are box pressed, but they're smaller size, so I don't, even though it's got a double end cap, I don't want to just rip it apart.
Yeah.
I've done that by mistake, and it's almost real hard to get a V cut because it's a narrow box press.
Gotcha.
So we'll probably do that, but I'll take this bottom one off. But you're probably about to find out why the guy was so forthcoming in all of his information.
Whoever that guy is.
Guy, girl, whoever. Don't want to discriminate. But it's a lot. So, showed y'all the punch last time. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm Going to recommend if you want to do this as well.
I'm following your lead.
Go for it. Usually that'll come out, sometimes it'll get caught.
Let's see if I can do this.
I did it last time because he had never done a punch. He had done guillotine and V-cuts and all that stuff, but...
Line her up in the center, huh?
Yep.
Not too hard, not too far.
It's nice and steady. And once it breaks the cap, you can feel it. You can kind of twist it in a good bit. Learning moment.
Learning moment.
He's not new to cigars, but he'd never done a punch.
Never done a punch.
There's always something new to learn.
Let's see.
Yeah, most of the time that cut will come out in your punch, but
Oh, lordy.
this one's not, so that's okay.
I don't want to mess this up.
As long as it cut, you can pull it off, you're fine. It's not going to damage it.
I think I got it. Heck, I don't know. Oh, this is not going good. Amateur.
It's all good.
Nah, this is...
Let's see.
This is terrible.
Okay. Probably 'cause I couldn't see. Probably just didn't go in far enough.
Oh, well. That's what happens when you let a rookie do it.
So you can literally go in all the way to the base. Yeah, you had it. You just didn't go in.
Wow.
That's all it was.
Stand by, people.
He actually had it. He just didn't realize he had it. All good. Now, I'd probably because of these megawatt lights I got shining in my face.
I'm a little to the left.
It's fine.
That's okay.
It's okay. So as long as you're somewhat centered, it's fine. If this was like an actual more ring cigar, I'd be more picky. Like those Drew Estates, I think I've mentioned every time I talk about punch. Sometimes I'll double punch those. But so anyway, we've spent about 10-15 minutes talking about the cigar. Which, I mean, it probably took you 12 of those minutes to read everything that we talked about.
And another 10 to
Yeah.
punch it.
So, I'm not going to tell you anything. But as soon as you have a first impression, tell me, and I'll explain what I'm asking in just a second.
Alright.
So, as always, get a good toast on it. That's got a good toast, so it should light quick. Indeed.
Yeah?
Purposeful silence for anybody listening on the podcast.
Let's see. Wow. That's a immediate change from the last cigar we smoked. Yeah, that one like almost kicks you in the face.
Yeah, it does. It's a stout one.
Wow. Yeah. I like it though.
It's good. This cannot be anybody's first cigar unless you're absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
You need some work up to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. No, wow. Surprisingly though, like it's like a kick in the face, but it's also like a soothing kick in the face.
Right. So you can start learning pretty quick why he's... I like that article. I hadn't actually read that. I like how you worded that because it's bold.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know why they just say straight up false on the sweetness.
Yeah.
There's
no
no sweetness.
It smells... See, and I feel like a lot of cigars I smell have a cocoa-y smell to it. This one did, but you don't taste it.
The pepper and leather kind of comes out more for me in this one. I don't know if it
feel the
actually
leather.
said it had pepper in it, but
No,
I don't.
leather,
It's just kind of
like-
the mix.
Yeah, no, it talked about leather, but it's smooth still. It's actually very smooth.
So, 5 Vegas AAA. Again, this is... now, there are a couple dark ones I like, but my profile, this is probably my darkest. I get above this because you can feel that bitterness. It's like right on... You can feel it on the back of your palate.
Yeah.
Which, your milder ones, you more taste it on the front.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a real reason why he said that, moral improvement, but it's kind of, in the cigar world, your palate can get refined.
Yeah.
And because of, personally, I started smoking some of your darker stuff, you kind of start opening up your palate a little bit.
Yeah.
And now I've kind of...
Which is why, like you said, this is not a first-time cigar.
Mm-mm.
You got to work up to it.
Because this will promise you, if you're getting a good draw and you get a good cut, this will hit the back of your palate. You ever have, like... your taste buds are different placements for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ever had, like, something real sour, kind of taste it on the front, but then it hits you in the back with that after bite. It's kind of what this is doing. Because those are the taste buds, your bitter buds that you're real hitting. So you taste the oil on your lips. That's the first thing you're going to taste, which is why I didn't say nothing. And you kind of, if you caught that he coughed, he's not an amateur smoking. I wanted it to catch him off guard because I didn't tell him that first hit is harsh.
It was more of like I said, the cough was because it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Because that first hit is a hard hit.
Yeah, it really was. Well, cool.
In full disclosure, as much as I've had of these, I kind of leaned back and suppressed mine because I want to tip you off because it almost caught me too. So, just saying. Anyway, if you're looking for a really good, really dark, really solid cigar,
how's it going?
It's not a pepper bomb, which, as the name implies, there's some cigars that are just loaded with spice instead of just other oils. I don't have many of those, but if you want a real good, just a good oily dark Maduro, this is definitely a good one.
I agree.
So on a production note, I promise we have things to talk about today, but
we might get to them.
If you're listening to this and you have listened to the other three, I would greatly appreciate your comments. So I have purposely been changing.
We would greatly appreciate
it. I don't mean to leave my boy out. I slipped up and say I just because I edited it on the back end, so it is very much a we thing. So this is our gig.
But in all seriousness, we always talk about like leaving comments, anything y'all want us to talk about. We don't care. We talk about the most random things ever, and 100%. Half the time we'll have something to talk about, and we never get to it because we're off a tangent on something else. Yeah. So, yeah, please feel free to reach out to us. Like Pat said, email them, drop a comment, like, subscribe. Whatever we do nowadays on social media, do it.
Or like the new YouTube sensation is hit that bell. Why? Because it's the freaking bell.
1 million subscribers by the end of the year.
So, that'd be badass. It's not going to happen.
We got a long way to go.
1.997 mil to go. Or 0.997. Something like that.
0.997.
Like, we got a couple hundred subscribers at this point. There's like it's 200 something, of course.
Really?
I had a couple from, because, I kept the channel from before.
Yeah.
When I used to do positivity podcasts. So, now I do know people still watch those. If you are watching those and you just kept watching, glad you're here. So
maybe we could do one of those one day. Cigars and positivity.
Definitely can.
Yeah.
That was the legit, only thing I talk about. They're 5-10 minute little snippets, but can definitely do some positive stuff.
I think everybody needs some good positive encouragement.
Good motivation. Good inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where a lot of my cigar conversations tend to go through.
Well, I feel
like brotherhood, man.
I feel like with the
brother/sisterhood.
Yeah, I feel like with these cigars just enable you to have good long conversations about whatever's on your mind.
They do.
Which is why a lot of times we'll go off on a tangent on whatever because things happen throughout the day, throughout the week that we talk about, and it's good to get it off your chest sometimes. And
it is
positivity.
And almost every one of these episodes will be done filming by the time we get done smoking. So we stick around and we don't just put it out. We talk about some personal stuff, sometimes good, sometimes sad, sometimes thrilling, whatever, so this is a lifestyle in a way, and it's not an exclusive lifestyle. By all means, if you have any questions about Cigar World, reach out and talk. I'm not a master yet, got a long way to go, but it's conversation. There's things to learn. Your palate's always growing. You can always learn about humidors, how to treat them, how to buy from. I can't put links in here to YouTube practices or say practices. I can't give you actual links, but if you want to reach out to me personally, send us an email. We can talk to you. We can email you back. We can, talk to you about some things if you're just kind of curious about the world. This is for lack of a better term, we call it Brotherhood. Not gender exclusive. That's just easier term to flow with. Mostly because of this right here. So, just good enjoyment, good lifestyle kind of trend.
Yeah. The things that me and James do, we've known each other for a couple years now, about 3 years, and
yep.
With what we do is what brought us together, and honestly, that helps us with the whole conversation and the brotherhood, and because we both get it, and there's things that go on in our lives, at our jobs, you name it, where we're able to sit down and talk about it, because it's always good to get stuff off your chest.
Facts.
I don't think you should ever hold things in. Obviously, whenever you're ready to talk about it, that's great. But like me and James, we hold each other accountable.
Friendship therapy is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what this podcast is all about.
Absolutely.
Y'all listening out there, anybody ever have a bad day or anything, like we keep saying, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. And
the email's always down in the comments. Whew, wind is kicking my stuff around. So, and there's nothing to hide back there. It's the first episode y'all saw the wood, but this is kind of to help control some lighting issues. So
eventually we'll burn that wood when it gets colder.
I've gotten to do one fire this year. It teased us.
Yeah,
and then it went right back up.
I think I checked the weather.
It is November, and it was 77 degrees today.
I think tomorrow it's supposed to be 80, and low of high 50s or something like that.
I mean, we're gonna skip fall and
then just might freeze again.
Might hit winter.
It's just gonna be another.
We're gonna hit the winter solstice, and it might maybe turn into winter. We'll see. But so we kind of segued on that because I slipped up and said I instead of we. But in all reality, so I have purposely changed up the cameras and stuff. In fact, I used one last episode that y'all never even saw because by the time I got to editing, I was like, this is trash. So I'm purposely moving them around, just kind of playing with things. Of course, nighttime there's always a challenge, so there'll always be some things. We will not always shoot at night. It's just how the last few have gone.
Well,
so.
Majority of the time we will.
Majority of the time.
Because of our schedules.
Especially if it's just me and him.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to do it at night.
Yeah.
We're already planning for the next one.
That'll probably be an evening.
That will probably be an afternoon, evening, something like that. Because he's not a night shifter, so we're going to do our best to accommodate his schedule as well. Because he's trying to join us. So, buddy number 2 that wants to come in, his schedule goes back and forth. So, don't know what's going to happen there. But
we'll get it all worked out.
We'll get it all worked out. And but yeah, I like the conversation about, friendship therapy and accountability, and which not on purpose. I thought they were just kind of interesting, science brain, nerdy, kind of plays into this, and I appreciate that because it wasn't planned at all. Really didn't know what I was going to talk about today because this was a last minute where our schedules worked out, so it's not super pre-scripted. Probably why we're rambling, and that's cool because sometimes conversation is the best thing to listen to.
Yeah.
One of the shows that I link down in the description is Rob and Bryant. Half of the time they talk, they're just going. Because they've been friends for a while. They've been doing the podcast for a while.
Yeah.
Now, they do a legitimate podcast show a lot. In the last couple of years, they put out a couple hundred episodes. They are pushing. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But
it'd be nice if we could do that, but we just are.
I'm happy with how we've been able to readjust things now. So I'm happy for that. But sometimes they come in, they'll have a topic. sometimes they don't, and some of their video, like, they don't put all their videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
They put some of their good ones or certain ones. Some of them are just podcasts. Some are, they put YouTube. And just kind of like here, they've got the video going between the two of them. And sometimes they go off in a deep end. And you know what? I will sit there and listen to those guys for an hour.
Well, it's because I feel like so many people can relate to whatever you're talking about and whatever you're going through at that time.
Whether you know it or not.
Whether you know it or not, whether you think... We may think at some points that we're rambling on, but you, on the other hand, listening, you could be going through the same stuff that we're going through. And it makes you feel better because it's like, I'm not the only one out there. I can relate to them.
I'm straight up... That's what this title is going to be. Not that I really care about the title. I usually figure it out last minute based on however it goes. Friendship therapy.
I like it.
That's
what I was going to say.
I like it.
Cigars and friendship therapy.
Cigars and friendship therapy. And the crazy thing, the reason I said it's kind of an accidental perfect segue, which we kind of did an accidental one last week. I gotta get off that. That is like TV,
the last episode.
The last week thing. That is like TV mentality. Like Family Feud. They'll film 5 in one day, and Steve Harvey's got to say last week because they don't.
Yeah.
He just goes back, changes suits, come back, and say, "Hey, our winners from last week." It was like 5 minutes ago.
Hey, he has nice
TV
suits.
thing.
He has great suits.
Great suits. He's a very avid cigar smoker, by the way.
Oh, let's get Steve Harvey on the show.
I wish.
Steve, if you're listening to this, give us a shout out.
So, I've actually seen him on some shows, and
that man.
Hey, lighting's actually holding up pretty decent considering blowing everything.
Speaking of friendship therapy, advice, life struggles, everything, that man has some good wise words.
He does.
You ever listen to some of his stuff? Like, he makes sense about marriages, relationships, your job, finances, everything. He's got some good stuff that if you're going through anything, Steve Harvey's legit, man.
That man's got some words of wisdom. He's lived through it. And what's crazy is, you know what? I ain't got my pen out here. Yeah, dude. I'm gonna write myself a note because we're talking about that. We're gonna, discuss some like positive thinking stuff, right? I don't know this off the top of my head enough to just spit this out, but it's a vague thought. But we talk about some positive upbringing and growth, right? That dude, his story, dude came from nothing. And I remember it vague enough, so I'm not going to discredit the man and misspeak this. So I'm going to go look up the specifics, but the way that I remember enough, the way that he got his opportunity to start was just amazing.
Really?
Somebody reaching out to him, giving him a positive chance, and, things work.
You never know, man.
So
I think things like that happen for a reason.
They do.
He saw an opportunity and he took it, and he didn't look back. And look at him now.
But it's I want to talk about the nerdy side of the things that I have because it's not specifically linked to friendship therapy, but in a way it's kind of talking about some other therapeutic things. Neither one of these are very long topics, so it's kind of cool that we just kind of rambled. But there's some of this links to, and both of these I'm gonna trigger warning just in case anybody listening has anybody in their family that deals with Alzheimer's or any other memory issues or dementia or something like that. This is going to specifically talk about Alzheimer's. Not in super detail, but it's going to reference these pieces of information and how they link to it. So if that is uncomfortable for you, you're more than welcome to drop out or come back in about 10 minutes because this isn't going to be very long, but I feel to give you the right to know that. Got some people, family, some extended family that I have dealt with both, and I now have one family member that is now going through something similar. So part of why this intrigued me, but anyway, there you go. So both of these came out of Brain and Life magazine. No sponsorship. In fact, the magazine is free as long as you tell them every year that you still want to keep getting it. Just so they're not sending out paper to people who aren't actually doing it.
Yeah.
Now, I believe I might have referenced this, but I lost my father in 2019 to brain cancer. And since then, I started looking up into brain stuff. And I know some basic medical level stuff, but I don't know anything up here. And I know I've mentioned that before. So I started doing some digging when I wanted to kind of learn some more, and found this magazine. And it's got some pretty cool stuff in it. Of course, all neurological or anything related to brain thinking, how it works. So it's pretty cool if you're interested in that. Anyway, this first one talks about London Cabbies. So, interesting intro to this. Think of American. How do you become a taxi driver?
You go get a job.
So, there are some company differences. Most companies want you to have just prove that you've lived in the area that you're going to cab in for X amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Some might be a year, some might be 5 years. But you just got to show that you lived here. They don't, In fact, some of them I've heard that as long as you have a good GPS, they'll let you go to, because it is what it is. But London, that is not the case. So those iconic, words are hard. Iconic black cabs that you see all over London. There is a legit licensing exam that you have to go through for this. They literally call it the knowledge test. On average, it says that it takes 3 to 4 years to complete the requirement licensing. 3 to 4 years. Some people can do it faster, some take longer. But the reason it takes so long is they have to pass a series of exams, oral exams. They have to be able to explain from memory. You have no tools in front of you, no paper, no phone, no computer. It's an oral exam. They're going to ask you, how do you get from point A to point B? And you have to word it out. The guy, let me get his name on here because it's on the back side of this. This guy actually has a YouTube channel, by the way. So, as I did not know until I was reading this. It's Tom Hutley. His YouTube channel is Tom the Taxi Driver, if you're interested. So, he actually took 2 years and 11 months after 13 oral boards. And he failed one simply because he got the route right and forgot to mention one of the famous landmarks along the way.
Oh, wow. But it makes me wonder. Dude, the cab drivers in London get paid really well for this then?
I don't know.
Or is it just
hotspot here?
Or do you think it's kind of one of those
So, interesting enough, I don't know.
Thing?
I don't know what the pay is, but like any, as far as what they get paid. But it's interesting because he actually said that there was one route that GPS said was going to take him 39 minutes. He knew a better route. He got there in 37. Why? Because it saved the customer 2 minutes and like a mile and a half. So his fare was cheaper. So he's still cognizant. So I don't know. But even if they're not getting paid, massive on a scale, the quantity of traffic they're getting is probably more than we're getting over here, just because you have a lot of tourism and stuff like that.
And as far as I know, I've never been to London.
So I'm curious.
I've never been to London, but as far as I know, nobody drives in London. You either take the train over there or a cab.
I've heard that.
Or you walk.
I've got a couple friends that have been over there. I haven't yet. But that's kind of what I've heard too, is it's a lot of foot traffic.
Yeah, there's not a lot of cars in London, which I guess would make sense on why the whole taxi thing is a big deal.
But the reason I bring this up is the kind of nerdy part of this. over a decade ago, a study was done, and I won't get into the specifics of who or where. This is just kind of enough to intrigue me. They had a group of test subjects volunteered to be tested before and after with some probably some MRIs and CT scans, checking the brain pathway. Everybody that passed the test showed significant growth in their hippocampus, which is a part of your brain that helps with memory and spatial recognition and navigation, stuff like that. And to have it a good test, they also had people that were not cab drivers, never took the test, and people that took the test but failed and could not become. Both of those groups, even the group that went through the grueling process of the test but failed, did not have that mental growth. Mm-hmm. So they started wondering, like, what does successful memorization practice do for Alzheimer's? And they're doing some other tests now, so I don't have a lot of information on, any upcoming, because now they're kind of doing some repeat studies, a decade later, trying to find some things and learn some more information. So I'll be intrigued to see, if that comes out to anything. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting, as you practice and work things, the way that your mind works, it actually increases your capabilities and your recognition skills.
And just your overall mental health.
Just overall mental health, because, this is going to be really stupid cheesy, but, we get frustrated if we forget things. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. And so they're working on some memorization abilities to help see if it might, lessen the chances of Alzheimer's, or if it can, maybe even prevent it. Not sure. It's a rough disease if you know anybody, which is why I wanted to give the warning. But on the other note, same magazine talks about how music can help with Alzheimer's as well. And
I believe that.
That one I believe completely, because I listen to music differently than a lot of people do. Not that I'm special or anything like that, but I started playing drums when I was 10. Now, I didn't have did the drum line thing, I'd done the drum set thing. I'm not the greatest at any. I'm really good at both. So I learned to listen to music backwards.
Right.
Which, full disclosure, it's one of the reasons I don't like country. Because I have a problem ever getting to the vocals, because I hear the kind of same beats over and over.
Which is something we differ at, because we've had that conversation. To where I love country music, because country music always has a story behind it.
Right. Which I respect completely. It's just not my thing, because I'm listening to it the other way around. Yeah. And, I've had people growing up that, I will listen to almost anything, including classical. Like, I'll go all the way around. But I listen to a lot of hard rock and metal.
Yeah.
And, bands like Parkway Drive and Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine, if you know those, they're hard-hitting bands. They go back and forth between screaming and singing, but there's really good melodic processes in the background.
Right.
So it opens up. So I understand that connection. I understand the pretense of why. And what I found interesting in this is there's a group up in New York called Music and Memory. It's a nonprofit that literally is trying to see how music affects. And they, over the last year or two, they've done some tests in nursing homes up there, and literally found that playing the same music that find what people respond to, whether it's for a memory or it's a personal touch, they're actually significantly reducing the need for certain medications, anti-anxiety, antipsychotics, antidepressants, because people are making connections. Even if, unfortunately the disease has gotten far enough that it's kind of taking you over, they're noticing some responses, and it's at least slowing the disease down. And
right.
So I find it interesting that, like, we go back to saying that talking is friendship therapy, because you're making a connection to each other.
But so is music.
So is music.
No, I believe music is 100%, because you can relate to so much in music. But then again, I feel like music correlates with friendship therapy, because, going back to the whole country music thing, so many country artists out there, they're writing their story in music form. They're going through struggles and putting it in music form. They may not be able to talk to you right then and there, but you listening to the music, you can relate to them. You're like, dang, I'm going through that same thing right now.
That's why artists like Taylor Swift and Adele became so popular, is most of their music came from an actual situation. Not all of it. You know, they're good songwriters as well. They can write stuff that is just spur of the moment. But they've both said that certain of their songs came from a story.
It's a story. It's a struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
Something personal that you can relate to.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, going back to the whole friendship therapy, mental health, it's good to have some sort of escape. I think everybody needs to. Whether it's music, whether it's friendship. You know, I've been lucky enough to have really good friends that when you're going through a bad time, they're there for you. They're there to talk to you about the problem. They've been through it. May not exactly the same thing, but something similar. And they can give you their insight on what's going on, you know? So
yeah, that's where this comes into play for me.
Yeah.
Is spend a lot of time, a lot of hours sitting outside, sitting in a cigar lounge, just relaxing, just talking. Sometimes with a friend, you know. A lot of times with this guy right here. But
unfortunately.
But there's also times that I just come out by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just me. I'm just hanging out. May listen to music, may watch a movie. Sometimes I'm out here texting people that I can't talk to. I'm on the phone with somebody. It's kind of a catch-all, but this right here, like we said at the beginning, it's kind of that brotherhood. You kind of get that time to just relax, decompress.
And you know, when we talk about mental health, I'm not exactly referring to actually mental health diseases or anything like that. It's the fact that me and you, we go through struggles. Everybody goes through struggles. You've got to talk to someone about it. You know, yes, on your own time, when you're ready. I don't think anybody should force you to talk about it.
Right.
But when you're ready, you've got to let it go, because the longer you hold on to it, the more it's just going to eat you. And the worse it's going to be for you. And then it affects your relationships with everybody else. You know, and that's...
I think a lot of people overlook that part.
That's what I think is not addressed enough in today's society. You know, everybody's freaking worried about what's on their phone, what everybody thinks about everything else, and you're trying to be that person.
Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nobody talks to each other.
And I admit
anymore.
I do that too, but it's
just nobody talks to each other anymore, and it's really sad, because I think that's one of the biggest things that isn't addressed in today's society, is how eaten away we are by social media and all of our phones. It's good to put it down and talk to people.
It is.
You know, I wish more people did it. I think everybody would be happier.
It's a good balance. You know, everything's got balance. Technology is fantastic.
It is. It's fantastic.
I'm all over technology. I've done a lot of audio, done a lot of video, done a lot of different things. But you got to find that balance. And sometimes I'm like any other human of this age. Sometimes I get wrapped up in it and I got to pull back.
Yep.
And times like this, like I said, I think it's a good word, decompress. It really does. It helps you pull out and kind of come back to the world a little bit.
Mm-hmm. We can honestly sit here and talk an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours about this.
Could, for sure.
But I know before we wrap this up, we got one more thing to talk about. And it's a very special holiday for me and him coming up here in November. It's Veterans Day. And Pat, being an old vet that he is. And,
appreciate the old things.
Yeah. And I come from a military family, so I understand this holiday very well too. Remember, Veterans Day is about the veterans. It's not Memorial Day. It's not about the people who have sacrificed their life and have given it and are no longer with us. It's about the people who served and are still here with us. Those are the veterans. that we're talking about. That's why there's 2 different holidays. So,
and
please remember that.
I don't want anybody that's watching this to think that we're giving little credit to this, because depending on publishing time, this will be around or maybe slightly after Veterans Day. But one of my pet peeves is, dude hit the nail on the head, is Veterans Day is not Memorial Day. Personally, I'm not going to be a rude guy, if you come up to me and, and say something similar. But I understand the difference. It's like when it comes to Memorial Day, I hate people, telling me Happy Memorial Day, because that's not for me.
It's not.
I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to kick it back, but, just learn the difference. And if you're not in the military, weren't in the military, weren't in a family, sometimes you may not know that difference, and that's okay. But it's a big deal. And, for me, I have a double whammy because I was in the Marine Corps, so our birthday is November 10th, and then right after I have Veterans Day the day after, so it's pretty hard hitting 2 days for me. But we're definitely going to, hopefully things work out, and it's our next episode, because that is currently the plan. I may bring that up a little bit and ask his opinion on a couple times.
Especially with it probably being after Veterans Day. We'll bring it back up.
And
it'll be right around the corner from Thanksgiving, too. So, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving Day.
Yep. As long as our schedule works, because like I said, he's a day shifter, so we try to plan ahead with him when we can get together with him, so that timeline should work out. But I think this is a really good conversation today.
Yeah.
This is probably the most accurate to what we kind of envisioned when we started. Had a little something to talk about, but real good conversation style. Real good, cigar Brotherhood type conversation. And I'm all for it.
And kind of going back to the whole mental health thing, because me and Pat, we've both been through stuff. And I say anybody out there that's going through something rough, it's really hard to sit there and question on why things are going on in your life. And there's so many unanswered questions. But me personally, how I look at it is, don't question it. Let it happen. And realize that something good is going to come out of it. It takes time. And it sucks. It does. Because you want to know the answers. But realize something good is going to come out of it. And you're going to be happier in the long run. But if you ever need to talk about it, please do. Don't hold it in. Me and Pat, there's been things going on that we've let it out here recently, and it makes us both feel better, honestly.
It does.
Because then you sit there all alone, and it just keeps going over and over and over again in your head, and you're like, why? Why is it like this?
We both had a situation that was different but similar, and unfortunately for me, fortunately for him, from a friendship standpoint, mine happened first. So he went through something very similar about a year after I did, and I was able to tell him some things not to do that I did. And the biggest one was I tried to bottle that mess, and I just wanted to drop a couple words right there. Yeah. I wanted to bottle it. Worst thing you can do. So reach out if you got friends, you got family that you can talk to. And if you don't, or you're just not comfortable telling them, and you want to tell it to somebody that's a stranger, if it's somebody watching this that doesn't know us, send that email. Everything stays in house. We will never spread or share. So, unless you give express permission to do so. I'm that way in my life too. Things within my circle stay within my circle. If it's going out of that circle, it's because there was something that was said and that was allowed. So, yes, we say like the video. Yes, I want you to subscribe so you can follow back. You can see what's coming on. But I mean it. Reach out. Got the comment section. Email is listed down below. It's thehollowdown@gmail.com as well. Feel free to reach out. We're here. We'll talk to you.
I think the best thing that I like about this is that we're two normal, average guys, but we're real with each other. And I think that's what I love about this channel. So we can sit here, we can talk about our problems, and be real about it. We don't have to be fake. We don't have to tell lies. There's no point behind it. I mean...
And to the point, and not to cut them off, but to the point, we've been real enough with each other that we have pissed each other off before. But we don't hold on too long. We come back, figure it out, and move forward. Because being open and honest is better any relationship of any level.
Right.
But I appreciate y'all for hanging out, listening to us, watching us. I think this was a really good home level video, level episode. It's a hustle, no joke, and not that was the intent of this episode, but that's where it went, and I appreciate it.
Honestly, didn't know what we were going to talk about today.
Like I said, it was a last minute conversation. I had some things to talk about, and we went from there. But
we're going to keep doing this, like I say in every video. If you don't like it, that's okay. We'll still be here.
And I say the same thing at the end of every video. And I appreciate y'all being here, but I mean this a lot more today than normal. Thank y'all for coming. We'll be here next time. But until next time, stay safe, fam.
Peace.